When Kirby Smart was hired at Georgia at the end of the regular season in 2015, one of the biggest things he had to accomplish was to lock down the state of Georgia on the recruiting trail. And, we've seen the last 6 years, he's done a great job of doing that. Now, he hasn't been perfect, but more often than not, when Kirby Smart and his staff go after a top in-state prospect, more often than not, they're going to land that signature at the end. So we've seen him do an excellent job of locking down the state, especially 2016, 17, 18, 19, and really 20. When they want a guy, they go out and they get him. But this 23 class is a little bit different. It's not as deep, it's not as talented as the state of Georgia usually is, especially over the last few years. And I do think that when December rolls around, Georgia is going to have maybe the lowest amount of in-state commitments and signees than they have in the Kirby Smart era. Now, it's not really that big of a deal. He's still going to get a quality amount of very talented players from the state of Georgia. But at the end of the day, he's not recruiting as many in-state prospects as he has in years past. I'm going to go over my top 10 that I have over on DawgPost, the 10 best players in the state of Georgia, where they're going, and if Georgia is really recruiting them or not. And of course, the first guy I want to talk about is Caleb Downs, 5-star safety out of Mill Creek. Now, this is definitely a guy that Georgia wants to get. He's the number one player in the state, in my opinion. And I think across the board in the industry, everyone agrees that Caleb Downs is the guy. He is the 5-star that Georgia really needs to get because he is an immediate impact guy. Not saying he's going to start day one wherever he decides to go, but he's a guy who's going to play early. And I think Georgia has a real fight on their hands between Alabama and Ohio State. And he has a decision, I think, coming up in the end of July, and there is a story on that over on DawgPost where he talks about Georgia, what their message is to him. So definitely make sure you check that out. So number one player Georgia's in the mix for, and they recruited. Number two, Vic Burley, committed to Clemson, 5-star defensive lineman. He's one of the only guys in the state of Georgia right now that Georgia went after and did not get. Another guy is K.N. Lee, who's number 4 on my list, former Georgia commitment, who's now at Ohio State. But still, I think Georgia had more guys higher on their board at cornerback than K.N. Lee. So him flipping to Ohio State essentially is not that big of a deal. At number 3, Justice Haynes. He's a big target. So they're after the number 1 player in the state, Caleb Downs. They're after the number 3 player in the state, and Justice Haynes. And after that, it gets a little tricky. Now, they do have 5 current commitments from the state of Georgia. They have 12 total in the 23 class. 5 of them are from Georgia. And one of them, Seven Cloud, a defensive lineman, is really hard for me to count because I don't expect him to be in this class when the time comes. I think he's going to open up his recruitment at some point. He's just not Georgia good, in my opinion, and I don't see the staff accepting his signature when the time comes. So really, they've got 4 guys. The first or the highest ranked guy, in my opinion, that they have committed is C.J. Allen, 4-star linebacker, and I have him at number 5. So they have the number 5 player in the state committed, in my opinion. They also have Gabriel Harris, a 4-star edge defender out of Valdosta. I have him ranked as the number 8 prospect in Georgia. And then they have Bo Hewley, a 4-star offensive tackle from Langston Hughes in the Atlanta area. I have him ranked as the number 10 prospect in the state of Georgia. And then lastly, Lawson Lucky, tight end out of Norcross, 4-star. I have him as the number 28 prospect in the country. So they've got 4 guys in the state committed, and 3 of them are, some of the best prospects in the state. But going down the list, Dylan Lonergan, I have at number 6. He's not going to Georgia. Caden McDonald, a player I have ranked higher than just about everyone else in the industry. Big-time interior defensive tackle out of North Gwinnett. Big-time player. I think Georgia should accept his commitment if you want to jump on board, but I don't think that right now he is a take at Georgia. I have him at number 7. Gabe Harris, commitment at number 8. Ethan Davis, tight end out of Collins Hill. He's going to Tennessee. I have him ranked number 9. Of course, Bo Hewley at 10. Michael Doherty, safety out of Grayson. He's going to LSU. Stephylan Green, defensive tackle. I have at number 12. He's going to Clemson. The Tigers have 8 commitments in my top 37 in the state. If there's one program hitting the state harder than anyone right now, it's the Clemson Tigers. They're targeting guys in the state. They're making Georgia a priority, and they're getting just about everyone they want out of the state of Georgia right now. So whereas Kirby Smart and his staff are looking elsewhere, they think it's a down year in Georgia. Clemson is thinking the opposite. They're trying to clean up and get a lot of guys from the state of Georgia in the 2023 class. So And we're seeing that over and over. Not every staff agrees on the type of guy that they're going after. And we're seeing that in this class. Caden Lee, #1 wide receiver in the state, in my opinion, out of Kennesaw Mountain High School. I don't think he's going to Georgia. Jelani Thurman, a tight end, again, out of Langston Hughes. I don't think he's going to Georgia. They already have 2 tight ends on the commit list. Jamal Anderson, linebacker at Mill Creek, I have at 15. He's going to Clemson. TJ Searcy, 16. He's going to Florida. Zechariah Owens, #2 offensive lineman, in my opinion. I have him ranked number 17. He's going to Clemson. D. Creighton, number 19. He's going to Clemson. Bryce Thornton, safety out of Milton. He's not going to Georgia. So they're just not recruiting a lot of in-state guys right now. I think they might, if they do land Caleb Downs and Justice Haynes, those are going to be the top 2 guys in-state. And again, I think it's going to be a real fight for Caleb Downs. I don't see him signing with Georgia right now, with a decision coming in about 3 to 4 weeks. And I think Georgia's on the outside looking in. So at the end of the day, this is just not going to be a big in-state haul for Georgia compared to years past, right? And again, they do a great job of cleaning up and locking down the state of Georgia when they want to. In this class, it doesn't seem like they're trying to do that. And again, of all the guys that I just listed, a lot in my top 20, Georgia didn't even offer them. They didn't really push for them. They didn't recruit them. And so they basically had to go somewhere else. And it's all working out, really. So Georgia's going to get their out-of-state guys. They're going to, they got one of the best players in Alabama right now, AJ Harris. They went and got a cornerback from Las Vegas. They're going to do very well in the state of Florida. They might sign more kids from Florida in this 23 class than from the in-state, their own Peach State, right? So there's a lot going on here, but I could go down the list 20 through 30. I don't think any of those kids, other than Lawson Lucky, is going to go to Georgia. And again, you're not going to find these rankings anywhere else because they're mine and they're on Dog Post. And these are guys mostly that I've seen in person and at camps and on Friday night. So I have a good feel of where these guys should be ranked. And a lot of the best players are looking elsewhere and not even being recruited by Georgia. So if we're talking about locking up the state, I don't see it happening this year because they're just not going after that many guys in state. So definitely a different year compared to years past when Georgia would land 6 or 7 guys out of the top 10 right now. And again, in my personal rankings, they have CJ Allen at number 5. Not going to sign Kalen Lee at 4. I do think they're going to sign Justice Haynes at 3, but the top 2 guys, in my opinion, Caleb Downs, Vic Burley, obviously committed to Clemson. So it doesn't look like they're going to get the top 2 guys. And Gabriel Harris, I think, is a top 10 player. And I think Cade McDonald, again, the guy I talked about from North Gwinnett, defensive tackle, I think he's good enough to play at Georgia, but I think the staff is a little worried about his height. He's not super tall, but dude lived in the backfield, had 60+ tackles for loss last year, just an insane number. I think he's a top 10 player in the state. It doesn't appear that Georgia thinks so. And so when you look at these rankings, whether it's on Dog Post or somewhere else, you're going to see a lot of guys committing elsewhere and signing elsewhere. I wouldn't say it's that big of a deal because I do think Georgia is going to get their guys out of state. And the way Georgia is as a program right now, their expectations is the national championship every year moving forward now, to compete for one or push for one or win one. Those are their expectations. And as good as the state of Georgia usually is, it's going to be better in 24. And these kids that are going to be juniors this upcoming fall, I think a lot of those guys are going to look towards Georgia. And I think the Georgia staff is going to accept more kids in state in next year's class than this current 23 cycle. But if they want a guy who fits their program, it doesn't matter where they live. They can go up north and get a kid. They can go to Texas and get a kid, Florida, California. They go anywhere. If they like a kid from Oklahoma or Las Vegas or North Carolina over a kid right down the road in Gwinnett County, they're going to go get that other kid. So they're going to try to get the best of the best and the guys on top of their board in state. But as far as this year, I just don't see them signing a lot of in-state kids. But I do think they kind of agree with me that it's a little down from, there's not a ton of elite talent. There's no Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields type of quarterback. There's only one running back that I think is Georgia quality, and that is Justice Haynes. There's only 2 SEC caliber running backs, in my opinion. The other one, Dontravius Braswell, who just committed to South Carolina, who I have at number 23. Really good back, but obviously not good enough to play at Georgia or get an offer from Georgia. So This is the lowest amount of in-state kids I've ever seen not get an offer to play at Georgia. I do think next year will be different, but this 23 class, a lot of these kids are going to Clemson. A few of them going to South Carolina. I think LSU has two commitments from two of the best players in my top 20 at least. So go check out the rankings on DawgPost, see for yourself. But I would not say that Georgia is locking up the state this year in 2023, but they're going to get their quality amount of guys, and I think they're going to get the guys that they want. At the end of the day, in state, we'll see it all, how it all plans out. But make sure you're on DawgPost for the latest and greatest on recruiting news. There's going to be a lot coming in July, so make sure you head over to the site and read all about it. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Of course, as always, stay tuned to the next one coming up right now, and I will see you over on DawgPost.